Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome to another series in Unity. In this series, I'll be creating a survival game. So, I'm gonna be talking about some stuff on how to make a survival game. I also might be talking about some of the basics of Unity, but I will not be talking about going into further detail because I did a lot of that in my last series. So if you're new to Unity, go check out my last series. It's a great place to start out, and I recommend it. So what we're going to start with this survival game. First, we're going to want to make our ground. So you want to go to Game Object, click 3D Object, and create a cube. And then we want to make sure the cube's in the center. So we will just make the position 0, 0, 0. So now that is in the center of our playing field. Now we want to make this a big kind of ground area for our character to stand on. So we'll make the scale on the x-axis 50 and then on the z-axis 50. So now we have a pretty massive area for our character to stand on. So this is really good. Now what we want to do right now is actually make our character. So what you want to do is come to the assets folder, right click in it, click import package, and then go to character controller, click it, and then a window should come up right here, and then just click import. And here is our standard assets folder and our character controller. So now we have our first person controller and our third person controller. We're going to use first person for this game just because it's easier to work with. So all you want to do, you want to get your first person, just drag it right onto the playing field just like that. And then if you want, you can center him. And now if we go into click the play button and we're in our game view, if you'll notice, we fall right through our cube. This is because our character is inside of our cube. We want to bring him up above it enough just to make sure he does not fall through. Just like that. Okay, so now if we go ahead and hit the play button, you'll notice that we can move around. And I'm just using you can use the arrow keys on your computer, or you can use the WASD keys on your computer. It really doesn't matter. But now we can move around. And to look around, just use your mouse. So now we want to add some light. So to do this, we'll add a point light. So we'll just go to game object, light, point light. And now we can raise this up a little bit. And then, whoops. Okay, so we'll center this in the X and Z axis. Okay, and now we can increase the range of our light to make it nice and bright. And now if we go ahead and hit play, now we can kind of see what is going on a lot better in our game view. And we can move around. And since we have a main camera attached to our first person, we can delete our original main camera. Okay, so that's good. So now you should have your first person controller with underneath it graphics and main camera, and your cube and your point light so far. So now what we want to do, we want to import our skyboxes. So when we look up at the sky, it's not gray, it's an actual sky that looks nice. So what we want to do, under first person controller, hit main camera, add component, and then rendering skybox. So now we have a skybox component. So now we want to actually make a skybox, or import some skyboxes. So you just right click in the assets folder, click create, import package, and then go down and hit skyboxes. And then hit import. And this will import a bunch of skyboxes to our assets folder right here that we can add to our game. So now if we go to our standard assets, it should be right here, skyboxes, and these are all the skyboxes that we have. And it kind of gives you a preview of it right here. Now to add the skybox, just hit main camera, and then go down to your skybox, and then just hit the sky, and then we'll go to game view so we can see this a lot better. we'll go to main camera, skybox, and then just drag the skybox right on in. Now this skybox is great if you're doing horror games, but we're not doing a horror game. This is kind of a fun survival game. So I like Sunny 2 personally. You can play around with these and find which one you like better. But one thing I want to point out, it does not appear in your scene view, only in your game view. So if we hit the play button, we kind of have a nice little sky, and we can kind of follow around where we're going now. So that's good. So we've made a little bit of progress. Okay, so next I'm just going to create something on our playing field that we can actually follow so we can see where we are. Now, one thing I want to mention is Unity is not meant for modeling. Unity is meant for designing and creating your game and scripting. If you want to do modeling, if you want to find an app for modeling, I do recommend Autodesk Maya. It is, or Autodesk 3ds Max, because those are the best versions that you could possibly get. So yeah, so we'll just kind of create something in this game just to show you guys, but again, this is not for modeling. So if you want to model something, just do it in a different application and then bring it into this game, and you can find a lot of modeling apps out there. So what I'll do, I'll hit game object, 3D object, and I'll just hit a cube. And then I'll make this cube, I'll just make kind of a couple of walls just to see where we are. And in the y-axis, I'll just raise that up to about maybe 8 or 10. Yeah, 10 seems good. No, 10 seems a little bit too tall. Let's go with 8. Okay, then in the z-axis, just make it, let's just make it 10 also. Okay, so this is just something that we could follow along with, just so we know where we are. So now we have this, so I'm going to just move this away from our player so our player doesn't get stuck in it. Move it this way a little bit. So that's one of our walls. So our next wall, all we have to do, we can duplicate it. So you can either right click on it and click duplicate, or you can hit Control D. I'm just going to do duplicate though. And we have 3 cubes here. And then I'll just go on this cube and then I'll rotate it about 90 degrees in the X. Sorry, in the Z axis. Nope, in the Y, I guess. Alright, I'm not really good with rotation in the axis. So we have this rotated nicely at 90 degrees now, so now I can just kind of position this to our house. Okay, and then I will choose this one and just drag it out. So yeah, as you can see, this is kind of bad looking. It's just to show you guys that this application is not for modeling. So yeah. So now if we go ahead and rename this to house wall 1, rename this one to house wall 2, and then this one to house wall 3. Perfect. Okay, so now if we just go ahead and hit play, brings us to our game mode, and now we can kind of see where we are with our game, which is good. And yeah, so now I am going to end this video right here because I don't want to make it too long. In the next video, we'll talk about giving our character some weapons. So we might talk about some melee combat, and we may talk about animations if we have time. So I'll end on that and see you guys in the next episode.